Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. It's another beautiful, mild morning here in Sydney town. Little overcast, wind coming in from the southwest, but it's going to be a glorious day, I feel. This cloud will most certainly burn off, and we'll have an awesome day ahead of us. What I'd like to do today is take you through another book summary. When you've done 1,200 plus 5am clubs, and the majority of them are book summaries, you tend to forget some of the books that you've already done. And today's book is entitled Antifragile by an author named Nassim Taleb. And it's one of those memorable books, and with an awesome message, a message which is relevant today and will be relevant in years to come. I've done this book summary before in the early days when I was kicking off my 5am club, but what I'd like to do is go through it again, because there are some points, a number of points in this book which are relevant and useful, which we can touch on and learn from. So Nassim kicks off his book with an interesting quote, a very thoughtful quote to get us thinking, where he says the three most harmful addictions in the world are heroin, carbohydrates, and a monthly salary. An interesting spin. Very interesting indeed. I love that. But let's kick into this book. Let's have a quick look at three of the most relevant points to come out of the book. And this author and this book is all about building strength in ourselves, in our families, in our relationships, in our work environments. And he comes at it from a different sort of angle, but it is very thought-provoking, and as I said before, very powerful and profound. So he kicks off by basically describing and explaining to us what fragility is. And he says fragile items break under stress, whereas anti-fragile items get better from it, get stronger from it. And over our lives, we've come across items which are fragile, and you can just picture a fragile item. It's in a box, and it's got a little label on the outside, fragile, handle with care. And we get to understand that volatility does them no good. Whereas we also understand that in our world around us, we've also got anti-fragile items. And an example of an anti-fragile item is a diamond, which gets better, gets stronger, gets more valuable with stress and pressure, and basically overcompensates with all of these compounding issues and challenges that it faces during its development to become one of the strongest products in the world. And the Greeks touched on this anti-fragile concept thousands of years ago through their myths and storytelling. And one of the great myths that I still love now, even though I'm 61 years of age and many years have passed, is where Hercules, Heracles, meets and fights with the Hydra. And the Hydra is a beast with many heads. And each head that you cut off comes back with 2 or more heads growing back. So that indeed, the Hydra is one of those metaphors in life that this author calls us to try and be like the Hydra, where you become anti-fragile when people attack you, when people fight you, when conditions condition you. You know, when you get injured, you come back stronger, you come back more powerful, you become better. So the key lesson from this first point in this book is to welcome, to embrace challenges in life and not to submit to them in a negative way, but to partner with them in a powerful way where you can leverage and develop and use them as your partners in growth and development. The author then goes on to say something really powerful, where he talks about individuals and he talks about systems. And he says that an anti-fragile system consists of many fragile parts. For those who care to look at the path that human beings have traversed, evolution is an example of an anti-fragile system, because the individuals within that system are fragile, but the system of evolution is anti-fragile. And evolution ensures the survival of the fittest, and it ensures that the individuals over time develop, improve and become much better. But he says that the system survives and becomes anti-fragile because the parts of the system need to be fragile in order to provide a feedback system, a proper feedback loop to the system, to give it information, to give it, I guess, dexterity to know what makes it what makes it fragile, to enable it to morph into a system of survival and express its anti-fragility. I need to pop on this train here. We'll take off in a few minutes. But yeah, let me pop on the train here. Give me a second and we'll finish off the book summary. So I need to get to work, and I did miss the first train this morning. So let me pop on here, so at least I get to work on time and I can continue my book summary along the way. So the author once again reminds us of the importance of having fragile components to provide feedback, to provide dexterity and nuance to the system, and that when these all work together and the feedback works and the system responds to the fragility, it enables it to become strong, permanent and anti-fragile. So the author then goes on to talk a little bit more about the anti-fragile system, and he says that the anti-fragile systems work because they build extra capacity, and this extra capacity is needed. But when you're put under stress, when you're stress tested, or when the system is stress tested, what we're basically doing is we're aiding and assisting the growth process. And this author uses a fine example of when we go to the gym and we use weights and you feel the burn, but this burn is basically the feedback to the system enables the growth and development. Because when we're training with weights, or when we're effectively training with weights, I should say, the muscle fibers are broken down, and this failure or this breakdown is reported to the system, so that our bodies now come back and overcompensate for this shock through building overcapacity to handle bigger future shocks and future similar situations. So we get better, we get stronger, and this is all because of the fragility of the individual items and components of our system working to enable the total system to become anti-fragile. Because what we're doing, according to this author, is that we're building in redundancy. So the author calls to action, calls us all to action, to use stress, pain, suffering to our advantage, to leverage it in order for each and every one of us to express our anti-fragility, to be able to get through life, to be better, to be improved, a better version of ourselves, and to welcome and embrace pain and suffering and challenges, to live just outside, to push just outside our comfort zones. So thank you very much for joining me on this early morning episode of Jim's 5 a.m. Club, where, as you can see, I'm at Circular Quay. I've boarded the train. I'm in this public space, this magnificent, glorious public space known as Circular Quay, and I'm just heading off to work. And we've had the benefit of going through yet another book summary this morning, where we learn something new, where we take something new, we add it to the things that we already know, because we've learnt with time that the learning process is simply the ability to attach the unknown to the known. So once again, the system that I've incorporated is I take some notes that I've put together on the bus on the way into work. It takes me about half an hour to map out my notes for the talk, and then basically I just deliver it unedited, unscripted to a degree. What I basically do is I've developed a scripted introduction and ending, and I freestyle the talk with the main core element of the talk. So I look forward to coming to you again from a different place, different location, with a different message of empowerment. And I wish you all a very happy Monday, a beginning, an effective beginning to the work week for most of us, and hopefully a happy lead up to Christmas. We've only got a couple of weeks to go now, and wishing you all the very best. Take care, Yassas, and we'll chat again. Bye for now.